Hello everybody, this is September and I am checking in from the Reckoning server today, and in this video what I want to talk about is wild harvesting. One of my goals of playing on Reckoning is this is a free-to-play account. I have not spent any money, and I just wanted to see how difficult it would be for a person to, in 3.5 and a little bit in 3.0, how difficult would it be to become a patron without spending any money? And to that end, so far I've played, I don't know, maybe 5 days, and I've gotten to level 51. But the biggest obstacle first is getting an auction house license, knowing what to sell and when to sell it, and how to make money. And in this video in particular, I want to talk about how to make money. With the changes in 3.5, a lot of people aren't happy with fishing. They're not happy with treasure map hunting. They're not happy with trade packs. Some people do not like larceny. So there's some big changes that happened in 3.5, and a lot of people focus on the negative, but let's try to focus on some of the things that you can do currently to make some money. So one of the things that I've always done is I've done wild harvesting. And when I see things that, that are kind of clumped up, like these rice plants, I will stop and I will pick them because generally speaking, for one labor point, you're going to make, 10, 12 silver. And that's a good ratio, something to shoot for, 10 to 12 silver per labor point. And when you're a free to play player, it becomes all that much more important because you don't have a whole lot of labor. So So let's talk about wild harvesting. One of my favorite things about the 3.5 patch is they changed the amount of spawns. And I don't know if you can see it, but these rice fields, I'm located on the east side in Harani in the Paddies, which is in Villanelle. It's close to the community center and it's also close to Lutzong Harbor. One of the big things that they changed is they changed the amount of wild plants that are available. Now, rice in particular isn't very expensive. You can buy the seed for like 3.5 silver, and a lot of people will go out and plant this in either their flower beds or make bundles. But it's one of those materials that everybody needs. It's used in the potions, the small seed oil. And with the changes in crafting, you need a lot of small seed oil, which in turn means you need a lot of rice. The best thing about the farming rice in the wild is you do not have to pay for the seed. So everything that you get is profit. And when you find them bunched up like this, and you'll see, I will speed this video up here in a minute, but you'll see exactly how well this is. I'm just going through here. I'm keeping track of my labor and how many I've picked, and then we'll go ahead and get a value in a spreadsheet that shows you exactly how much gold or silver per labor I made doing this wild harvesting. So one thing I want to point out is you see how many I'm picking. In 3.0, there may be 4 or 5 in this whole little lake area. I'm well over that at this point. And this whole area is covered in these big patches of rice. Let's see if I can get a zoom in on it. So this little field over here has, I don't know, that's not that many, but look down that field. Look how many's over there. I think the last time I did this, and then look at this field. All those little, I don't know if you can see them. There's some quest items there, but there's most of that is rice that I can pick. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up the patties, and then we'll figure out exactly how much gold and silver per labor I made in this area, and then we'll find a new area. All right, so I pretty much farmed up that area. And another, right over here in Villanelle, there is a bunch of chestnut trees, though these are very popular, so they're probably already harvested. But if you can find them, chestnuts, especially on the Fresh Start server, they're worth a pretty decent amount of money. So before I go to a new map, I want to check. Oh, yeah, okay, so there is at least one fruited here. Now these are 25 labor each to pick. But last I checked, the chestnuts were in the 75 silver range per. So that's it's in the ballpark of worth picking. I'm just going to check these trees. There's one that's dying. There's another fruited. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you this Villanelle zone, and then we're going to move on to another zone down in Tiger Spine that has some different fruit. There's some grapes down there, some lilies, and some tomatoes. But I think you're going to be surprised on how much money I just made on, or the silver to labor ratio on the rice that I just harvested, and we're going to show that here in the video in just a moment. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and speed the video up while I run through the chestnut pattern here. Okay, so let's just recap what happened in Villanelle here. I was in the paddies here. That's between Lutzong and the community center in Villanelle. That's where I pulled all the rice from, which was a little over 100. And we're going to run the numbers here in just a minute before I move to the next map. And then I went and did the chestnuts, which was starting about in that area. And then I ran this path here. There's a bunch, and then there's some along this path. And then up the road and up to Juan's Ranch where I finished, and that's where all the chestnut trees came from. And it looks like I've got, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 chestnut trees. Now, they're not all going to be ready, but if they are ready, go ahead and pick them. I think that's going to come out mathematically to a safe use of labor. And the other thing that sometimes people may be wondering is when you see the young chestnut trees, the ones that you can dig up like this one, you may be tempted to dig them up because chestnut trees, now you can buy them for vocation. I think there's 600 vocation each. Let me double check that. Yeah, 600 vocation. And so for 10 labor, for 600 vocation, if you dig them up, there is a chance that it will give you a sapling that you can pick up. But I ran the numbers. Well, wow, I just did get one. I ran the numbers, but it is about a 25% chance. So you would have to expect to spend every 40 labor you spend digging up will get you a chestnut sapling. And I'm pretty confident that the silver to labor ratio on that kind of investment is not worth it. So I don't recommend digging them up unless, of course, you have a property and you don't want to spend vocation, or you don't have vocation and you have too much labor. But for the most part, for the maximum silver to labor ratio, it's probably not worth digging up. But we'll look at that here in a minute. Okay, so I did run the numbers, and okay, I had to re-upload this video to YouTube because originally I had said that the chestnut trees come out to like 37.5 silver, and you'll see that here in the video. But the truth is, I actually forgot a decimal place. If you consider that every 1 out of 4 dig ups is going to yield a sapling, that gives you 40 labor per tree. And mathematically, anybody that's good with math could probably see that straight away, that I actually forgot a decimal place. So it's actually less than 4 silver per labor point probably not worth doing. But I had to edit that and re-upload this video, so if you watched it originally, it's fixed now. You're going to average about 40 silver per labor point, which is pretty good. So let's take a look at the rice. I had a total of 110 that I harvested, and here's the numbers. The total value was 11 gold for the rice, 98 silver for the hay bales, and of course 8 gold for the royal seeds. You won't always get a royal seed. It is about a 1 out of 100 for my crappy proficiency, which is less than 10,000. So even at my crappy proficiency, I'm still getting about 18 silver per labor, a little more than that. So that's definitely worth doing. And then the chestnuts themselves, with the chestnuts and the scented leaf that I got, 24 gold value. Lots of labor though, so it came out to about 9 silver per labor point. It's in the ballpark, and if you don't have a lot of time, definitely worth doing. But if you're trying to maximize your ratio, you're definitely going to want to stick to the rice, at least in Villanelle. So let's go ahead and we're going to pop over to Falcor, and we'll take a look at some of those areas. All right, so I'm over here in Tiger Spine Mountains, and the area that I am recommending to you is the road between the community center and Arkham Iris, and then the road between the community center and Falcor Plains. And I'm just going to show you briefly why, and then I'll go ahead and harvest everything that I can in this path. So there's lilies, grapevines, and it looks like somebody's already hip to this location. Grapevine pick, but look at the quantity. Look how close together they are. That's important because you don't want to run around and just look for the one or two that it used to be. There's just a bunch of them grouped up together, which makes doing this worth your time. And so let's speak about time while I go through and look at some of these available harvests. When you looked at the amount of time that I spent in the rice fields, it was about 5 minutes. And so that is not a horrible amount of time for that kind of money. 20 gold for 5 minutes. And then the chestnuts was another 5-6 minutes to run that little path. And you can see people are really hip to it, because what I was expecting to find here, and depends on your server, depends on your server. And this is just only one, just a few examples of what you can find in the wild. So it looks like people are picking the tomatoes. They are picking the grapevines. And there's also a bunch of lilies available. There's cork trees, but those aren't worth doing. 5 logs for 10 labor is not worth at all. But there's another lily. And so, yes, someone has definitely got hip to this, which is good. It's really good. There's, lots of lilies, lots of tomatoes, lots of grapes. And it looks like people are hip to it, but that's okay. That's okay. This is one of the more common areas, so it's not off the beaten path. So it is one of the ones that is most likely to get picked just by the random player. But I wanted to show you this area as another possibility, to put in your rotation. Now, I do like the tomatoes because the tomatoes are 1 labor to pick, and they can drop the royal seeds. They're not as good as rice because rice has a high demand, and you can also get the hay bales from the rice. But I do want to check this area thoroughly. Some more grapevines. All right, and so let's run up this road just a tad. Now, this wasn't as exciting as I was hoping for. There's also cows here. There's a tomato. There's another tomato. There's another. Oh, it's not ready. But if I just show you the area here, you can kind of get a feel for, especially if you live in this area or you're passing through this area and you need to make some quick gold. Sure, why not, man? Stop. There's plenty to harvest in a short span of area. So why not just get off your mount and do the harvest? All right, so up this way, I saw a lot of lilies and grapevines. And thistle. I forgot about the thistle. There is thistle up here as well. So, somebody has apparently got hip to this because, we're seeing all these and they're all harvested and growing. But if you get it to where it's on your rotation, and you start figuring out when they're going to be ready to go again, it's definitely worth the few minutes that it's taken me to check the area. And I've gotten a few things. I've gotten some grapes and whatnot. And there's going to be areas like that all over the whole map. Any zone. Well, not any zone, not the Aurorian zones, but Nuian or Harani, you definitely can find these wild harvesting. And as I've showed, it is worth doing. A lot of people, when they find these areas, they're not going to share where they are because that's how they're making money, and I get that. But me, I don't care to share. Now, there's finally a lily. I did this on Hanor earlier today just to kind of get a feel for how much there was, and I got a truckload of lily, thistle, and tomatoes. But people are right on top of those grapes. This one actually died. No one got it in time. Lily and thistle. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. I'm going to go pretty much to about here. And we'll see what I end up with. And we'll run the numbers. Okay, I did run the numbers here and ignored the lemons. That was, I think, just somebody just planted those, and I just found them on accident. But so what I did get was 27 lilies, 18 grapes, 43 tomatoes, and 40 thistles. And if you look at the numbers here, what it comes out is just this area. And again, I didn't get any royal seeds or scented leaves or anything special, but based off of the values on the Fresh Start servers reckoning, legacy will probably be a little less, but still, I'm making almost 18 silver per labor, which is very close to what I got out of the rice. It is just it's just really good to do. This is wild harvesting, and I know I only did the Harani side. That is because I am Harani on pretty much every character I've ever played. I do have some red alts, but I don't have the ports to jump around on those characters. The point of this is not to tell you all the locations. I gave you 2 locations, Villanelle and Tiger Spine, but every map is going to have, well, not every map, but a lot of maps are going to have these locations, and I encourage you to go out and find them. Again, it's just a matter of finding the biggest cluster so you can spend the least amount of time and to spend your labor as efficiently as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and show these numbers again because this is the end of the stream, and some people don't like listening to me talk, so they'll skip to the end just to see this data. So here's the data again. Wild harvesting in Villanelle, I did rice and chestnuts. 18 silver, 18.5 silver for the rice. It was all clumped up. I found 110 units in the patties. Chestnuts, I ran the chestnut path. I only found 11 of those, and the silver to labor ratio is not that great, but it's close to 10 silver, so it's worth doing. And then the last location I did was in Tiger Spine. Again, I marked the path earlier in the video. It came out finding grapes, lilies, tomatoes, and thistle to about 18 silver per labor point. Again, this is wild harvesting, so this is definitely worth doing. I know this video has ran a little bit long just to give you just this little bit of information, but I felt it was important to explain it to you. So thank you once again for watching. I hope you have found this video both helpful and informative. And remember that I live stream every Friday. From either the Reckoning, Hanor, or PTS. PTS is supposed to be up again this week, so maybe I'll be doing that. I do have squirrels to give away. I give away those squirrels in Twitch. And until next time, September saying, be well.